G'day fellas and welcome to a casted game. Spawning in on the south side of the map, in the color yellow, playing as the Chinese, it's Lucifron. And in the north of the map, in the color green, playing as the French, we've got Lash. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Dry Arabia. We're here watching two of the best players in the world battle it out on the ranked ladder. Of course, I've met both of these players. In fact, I remember when I was over in Heidelberg, most recently in Germany, I got to meet Lash. That was wonderful. Lash had a nice little meetup over there. Plenty of people over there. You know, the German community is absolutely massive for Age of Empires 4. And so with him being a content creator for Age of Empires 4, who's from Germany, naturally there were lots of fans there. So it was great to meet him, meet all of his fans. He's just a top bloke, top bloke. I'll leave a link in the description to where you can watch him live. Of course, I'll leave a link where you can watch Lucifron live as well. He's been streaming a lot lately, so if you haven't, make sure you check him out because he's obviously a very good player. Almost went all the way at the last Red Bull Wallalol. So let's talk a little bit about what we are going to be expecting today. This is a great matchup, a matchup I'm a big fan of, but also a matchup I absolutely dread. I tell you what, there's nothing worse than loading into a Dry Arabia game as a Chinese player, and then you see the French flag, and you're just like, oh, this isn't going to be fun. I mean, it could be worse. It could be Holy Roman Empire. But French is like right above, or right below the Holy Roman Empire. So you can expect to see the following. Big feudal plays. I think that's going to be really important. So I'm expecting out of Lash just an opening of, say, something like 1 to 2 knights at most. From there, he'll move into a second TC. And then he's going to be looking to just continue adding in units. He wants to build up a nice big mass of knights, then get to Castle Age, look for that Royal Institute, look to upgrade his knights, get them fully upgraded, and try and hit his opponent with a timing attack before they can actually get a strong enough counter to deal with their royal blood, or royal bloodlines, royal knights. There you go. Bit of a tongue twister for you. So I'm expecting that we'll see something similar from Lash today. And from Lucifron's perspective, he's going to be looking to try and take a good fight. That's going to be the big thing for him. Obviously, the first thing is he doesn't want to die, right? Because there's lots of opportunities for him to die here. So the first one is going to be to the early night. You know, if you lose a villager or two, then already it's looking pretty bad. But then all of a sudden, you know, if you manage to keep them alive, then you need to be able to survive the 2 battering rams that are going to be coming through, probably 3 battering rams that are going to be coming through. And then after that, you know, if you manage to survive that, it's about surviving the next wave of attack. And I feel like when you're playing this matchup, the only real way that you can win it, at least early, is to take a good fight. So that's when your enemy makes a mistake. That's the big thing. So we see the Barbican coming down for Lucifron. So going to be looking to place it on the stone, which is interesting. That to me definitely signals the fact that he is going for a second TC. That's quite obvious, but he also does cover the berries. So he's going to be covering the berries with a village together with the Barbican. So these are pretty decent in its position here. But one thing to note is it could be more aggressive, right? Like you could have this Barbican up the front, but I think one of the key factors here is he knows that Lash is going to be looking to be aggressive early on. So by keeping this Barbican closer to home, it solidifies this position back here, centralizes the defenses, and it says if you want to attack the town center, that's fine. You're going to have to deal with the Barbican and vice versa. When it comes to that second TC, he can look for a second TC somewhere back here, or even if he wants, you just go right next to or in between these two, and good luck ever trying to take that out. I mean, you can do it, it's possible, it's difficult. I'll say that much. On the other side of the map, though, Lash has begun the age up, as you would expect any good French player to have done by this time, and we've got a very early age up. Take a look at this. 3 minutes, 55, 56 seconds, somewhere in that region. That is a very early French age up, and straight away we see that knight going into queue. So going to be looking to harass the enemy, looking to spot out where those villagers are. But we can see that none of the map has been scouted out on his enemy's side, so he's got to get this bad boy out there immediately if he wants to know where these villagers are at. Of course, if you are enjoying this Age of Empires 4 content, I will remind you right now, just minimize the video, head out, leave a like, and of course, that's pretty much it. Just leave a like. That's it. Really helps out the video, really helps out the channel, so thank you once again. But the age up now comes through for Lucifron. We'll look to see exactly what he does. So I'm expecting that we're probably going to see a barracks into a second TC. It's the most common thing that you do see coming out from Chinese players, especially in this matchup, and he will spot out the knight now coming through. So one of the things we'll see him do here is look to shadow this knight back. He'll try and draw as many hits away from this knight as he can as well. That's another thing to note. Just simply because what you want to be doing is just delaying your enemy from coming in, delaying when they get to do that damage. But we do now hear that scout under attack. Town Center is going to be taking him out. Spots out the Barbican as well. And now all of a sudden he's not too sure where to send this knight. And that's understandable. And there's the barracks now coming down as well for Lucifron. As we would expect, when you're up against a defense like this, it's the most common, or up against an offense like this rather, it's the most common defense that you'd be just looking to go with. You can try and do it with something like horsemen. I remember back in the day I used to do like I'd go for horsemen and I'd supervise it and I'd just go crazy with horsemen. But the reality is you're just always going to be behind if you do that. Whereas if you do this, you are going to be fine. But look at this. We've got an outpost coming in from Lash. 2 villages around the west side of the wood line. Not something I thought I would see this early on, but he's going to look to supervise the barracks here. We can see the spearmen are coming through and immediately falls back. The scouts have spotted it out, brings them back around, and not going to be able to find that tower on the south side of the wood line. Instead, opting for a little bit more of a quiet tower on this north side of the wood line. At the same time, we see the palisade wall's going to be coming up here. A couple of villagers looking to tap away at it. The spearmen should be able to stand guard for the moment. We'll check in with Lash. Yeah, you can see he's got barely any line of sight there. There could be enemy units coming in any second, but at the same time, Lucifron completely unaware. Scout heading towards the enemy base. He needs to see one thing. Is the enemy on stone? That's the big question. Are they on stone or are they going into an archery range? That's the big thing, because if he's going into an archery range, I need to think about going into a stable. If he's on stone, I need to think about going into a second TC as well. So the scout going to run towards the front. He could lose it here. Lash not paying attention though. Doesn't get the scout kill. Probably could have got it there. 3 knights towards the front of the base though will show that he's got this mining camp on the stone. So this straight away tells Lash, hey buddy, I am planning on going for a second TC. Does manage to get a villager there. A little bit of a misplay by Lucifron. Didn't have the spearman in position, unfortunately. Over towards the west side, we do now see that outpost has come up. So I do expect he will now begin to look to bunny hop or leapfrog these outposts if he can get any closer. We can see now that it still hasn't been spotted out just yet. As the walls continue to come down, scout in the middle will go down. So Lucifron left without sight, and he will now spot out that outpost, saying, get back from me, heathen. Stay away from me. This is my area. This is my land. And if he can get some good line of sight in here, so if we can see a scout managing to come behind here and get line of sight onto these villages, Lucifron's going to have a tough time because his other wood line is right here. And it could be a case of Lucifron being landlocked without any lumber. And that is not a likable limerick to I tried. It's not a limerick, I can tell you that much. What is a limerick? I mean, limerick's one of those things that you learn in like 8th grade. It's like, here's a limerick. Like, that's not a limerick, that's a haiku. It's like, they're different, my friend. I'm not going to go there. I can't remember. All I remember is it's Irish. It's probably not Irish. Apologies to all the people who have the limerick as one of their national art pieces. All right, well, we've always got the opportunity for a chop through here. Expect to see it coming through any second. These villagers, hopefully he's paying attention here. He could be just looking to draw fire, though. That's another thing to note. We do also see he's going to be looking to pick up arrow slits on the defensive here, coming in at the top. He's got 2 villagers on stone. Not a whole bunch of vills on stone at this point, but Lucifron going to be thinking about that second TC there. Never mind, not thinking about it. He is well and truly manifesting. He's manifesting this second TC right now. Quite literally onto the map. Manifesting. There you go. Speaking of manifesting. Oh, this is a good segue. Oh my lord. Okay, I don't know if you guys have seen this yet, but wow, there's some big UFO news that it keeps getting bigger and better in the UFO community. I'm loving it at the moment. I say loving it, but all I'm saying, right, and I know this is going to sound crazy. You're going to look at me and you're going to be like, Drongo, you're a conspiracy theorist. Don't even say what you're about to say. Bro, there has been footage that was released. It was actually released at the time, but it just never got any traction, of MH370, or what a flight that appears to be MH370, being abducted by UFOs. I'm not even kidding you. Just say it. I'm saying it right now. Just Google like Reddit UFO MH370, and that's all. I'm not kidding you. Okay, they got a satellite angle. It's a stereo satellite angle, which means it comes from multiple satellites, and they also have it from a United States military aircraft. It's absolutely crazy. Anyway, interesting development in that. And the reason why I say manifest is because I know my wife was watching a TV show called Manifest, and I think that was like the plot line where they got abducted. They hit like a lightning strike or something, and then they reappeared like 5 years later, and nothing had, Like, nothing had changed for them, but 5 years had gone past on the outside, so that's why I'm kind of throwing that in there. Because obviously we don't know, like, I just want to caveat this before you make your angry comment. I don't believe any of this stuff. I'm just, it interests me greatly, and that's it. Like, at this point, I'm just like, oh, cool. That seems like some really interesting evidence. I'd love to see people try and debunk this. And you know, we still sit here waiting for the debunkers. But anyway, we move on, we move forward, and we move into the battle. Because we've got a bit of a build-up beginning to break down here. I love my alliteration, man. I can't get enough of it. I'm always trying to put as many letters as I can that start with the same thing. I just love the way it bounces off the tongue. But Lucifron, he's in a solid position here. He's got the 2 TCs down. Let's talk a little bit about his game plan. 2 TCs are down. So what does he need to do right here? He needs to not die. That's number 1. And number 2, needs to not lose villages. That's the other big thing. Let's check in on the other side of the map. Let's see how Lash is doing, because he's only on the 1 TC. And being on 1 TC as French, honestly, 1 TC French is actually really good, because you've got that extra villager production. The problem is you're up against 2 TC Song Dynasty Chinese. So it can be a little bit tough, but Lash's numbers are pretty solid at the moment. There's definitely not enough Zhuge here. And in fact, I would almost hazard Lucifron, and I would say, Lucifron, I've played this matchup many times, and I know you're a much better player than I, but I will give you this theory that I know. Zhuge don't work here. They do not work at all. I feel like you've got to be going into Horsemen at least initially, and then maybe if you want to move into it, once your enemy gets spears out, then go for it. The reason why I say that they don't work is because the Zhuge got 4 damage plus 1 with its ranged attack. The Knight has got 3 armor with plus 1 up to 4 with its ranged armor, which means that the Zhuge is only ever doing 1 damage to the Royal Knight. That's not good. That's not good. Now, sure, it's got the triple bolt, so it's doing 3 damage, but the problem is it soaks up a lot of damage, so unless you're meticulously focusing down the enemy archers, you're going to have a bad time. On the bottom side, though, it looks like a little bit of a breakthrough has come. You can see that those numbers are really starting to stack up, though. Lucifron up to 34 military population, Lash on 30. But don't compare the military population. Compare the army value. Lash sitting at 1,400 more army value than his opponent at this point. Villagers getting knocked out as well. He's taken out 6 already through this game. He's got to be careful not to lose any more. Otherwise, you'll lose that advantage of having the 2nd TC. And he's had a bit of a tough spawn. Take a look at this behind him. Absolutely no wood. And up against the French, you're so exposed. These beautiful outposts coming through from Lash. Keep in mind, Lash currently sitting just outside the top 40. Lucifron, on the other hand, rank number 2. Really, really solid player at the moment, Lucifron. He knows exactly what he needs to defend this. Pushing those villagers back. You ain't getting an outpost down here. Needs to throw up an additional wall. Or at least look for a repair on this one. The only problem is this one's going to be chopped through very, very soon. 219 wood drop down. Feels good, bro. So, he's got other options for wood back here. But the only way I think you can really go for something like this is drawing a wall around it. But even then, you're getting bold with your walls like that. So, Lucifron definitely in a bit of a dilly of a pickle right now. Battering rams! Lucifron, you barely got enough resources here to sustain anything else that you want to do. You're going to have to make a farm transition soon as well, Lucifron. I mean, you got a boar out here. You got some berries in the back and some hunt, but unfortunately, your enemy's on top of it. It is a perfect game right now coming out from Lash. This is looking good. He's down 20 villages, though. As long as he's able to put on pressure, he should be fine. And keep in mind, even though we've got battering rams coming out on the other side, the power currently sits with Lash. He will be able to regain the wood line. We're right on board with Lash and just get a bit of an idea on what he sees. And you can see the outpost prying into the wood line. Not having a whole lot of luck there. As the army comes in, the Knights from the north side looking to try and take it out. Gonna find huge connections. Zhuge looking to focus down the Knights. Not gonna be able to find it. First one will be going down. Good night. No, he won't. Look at that. Beautiful micro from Lash. Manages to keep it alive. Spearman going to be jumping into the battering ram. Needs to make sure he brings them out on time. Indeed he will, but you can see the archers just melting through this front line completely. And this is the problem when you're going into this composition. Once you lose your spears, you are up to your ears in absolute gears and terrible things. It's just not pretty. It's not pretty at all, and you can see the numbers here. Lash, beautiful micro coming out in that fight, and now you're in a really bit of a difficult spot. This is where I was talking earlier about moving into Horsemen instead of moving into Zhuge, because when you move into Horsemen, then all of a sudden it becomes a bit more difficult for your... Was that a battering ram being built right there? I swear I saw that. Was that spear building a battering ram? I swear I saw that. Maybe I'm just seeing things, you know? Us UFO folk, we just see things sometimes. It's a light in the sky. Mate, that's the sun. Anyway. Nice little farm transition. I'm impressed that he found the wood to do this farm transition back here. Never feels good as the Chinese to be transitioning this early, though. You'd normally want it between the 17 and 18 minute mark, and he does have access to the ball here, but it is a little bit far out. He's also going to be looking to move more villages out there. I feel like he could probably go for an outpost or two out there, maybe even look to get another village out there. It could help him just sustain a little bit. The problem that you've got is that you're playing infantry. You're up against a mobile opponent, someone who's got cavalry, someone who can give you the runaround if they want. They can channel their inner GUA. And now, speaking of inner GUA, take a look at this. Lash looking to go to the castle age in classic GUA style. Look at that huge amount of villagers on the gold. I suspect this is where we come through with that deadly blow. Of course, now Lash, the numbers really starting to build up here. He's taken a really good... That last fight was just insane. Insanely good value for Lash, and you can see this reflected in the army values here. More than double the value of Lucifron at the moment, and it all just comes back to me, it all just comes back to, in my opinion, the choice of Zhuge Nu. I think Zhuge Nu are absolutely fine in this matchup if you can add horsemen first, because the idea is you need something to counter with them, and sure, you're killing the enemy archers, and you're doing a really good job of that. The problem is, if your spears die, and they will, you're left with absolutely nothing to deal with the Royal Knights. And at least the horsemen give you a little bit of a buffer on that. But we do now start to see infantry moving over towards that east side. It looks like the town center may be going down. Lash, only 16 villages behind, did add a second town center while we weren't looking. Looks to engulf this second town center. There's not even going to be a response by the looks of it from Lucifron here. You can see his look. I suspect, is he stuck in the feudal age? He could be stuck in the feudal age here, and this could be really troublesome for him. We can see behind this that Lash didn't look to actually go castle age by the looks of it. Just going to continue fighting it out in the feudal, even though he had the opportunity to go castle. I guess he wasn't really happy with his mass yet, and I think this is an important thing to note. Because one of the things is, often you see players go up to castle age with like 8 or 9 royal knights, and it's a decent number, but the impact that you're getting from a technology like royal bloodlines is going to be lessened the less knights that you have, obviously. So if you can stay in feudal a little bit longer, keep your enemy in feudal a little bit longer, the power spike that you get from getting the castle age and getting that technology out is immense. So let's look to see how he capitalizes on this position. At the moment, you can see Lucifron's kind of smelling that castle age, and I fear that he may go a bit early here. I think in this matchup in particular, when you're on the back foot, you can't... You need to wait for the French player to go castle, then you can go castle, look to supervise those upgrades out straight away. We'll have to see how he plays it, though, because he's definitely on the back foot. He could look for a castle age into a nest of bees. I think he would die before that, though. It's a really tough spot for him here. 51 archers out from the enemy. It's a huge mass. Let's check in on that backside. See how he's doing. Beautiful base. Take a look at the villagers out here. He's just having a field day for the moment. Villagers out everywhere. Still got plenty of food there. Doesn't need farms. Zhuge Nu firing off. Looking to tee off against the archers. He's up to 45 Zhuge Nu against the 53 archers of his opponent. The main thing here is going to be looking for these archers to hit out these spearmen. That's going to be the key factor here. He's taken out the first of the town centers. Now going to be looking to burn down the village. If he hits it, it's going to be population cap for his opponent. Looking to try and bring forward those royal knights. Not going to find it. It's just such a subtle dance happening between these two. And Lucifron might think he's got a bit of a window here. His numbers are looking pretty good. Not a lot of gold, though, in the back pocket for the moment. Sitting on 131 gold a minute at the moment. And now a lot of his economy over towards this east side. Has it been spotted out by Lash? It hasn't been, but I'm sure he can suspect by the movement of this military that there may indeed be some villages over there that are being protected for the moment. Zhuge Nu beginning to move forward. The spears charging in. Spearmen! Spearmen! Get back, Spearmen! Oh my lord, he lost a huge amount of spearmen. At the same time, we see battering rams just down here trying to cause some havoc. And back towards the main fight. Looks like the Zhuge Nu bracing for that big attack on the front. Spears begin to move forward, but look at the knights. Beautiful micro coming through once again by Lash. He's beginning to dwindle, to whittle down this front line, and still those spearman numbers are standing strong. Royal Knights still yet to be upgraded, obviously, not yet in the castle age, but look at the numbers, Lucifron in trouble. Somehow, some way, Lucifron is still holding on by the skin of his teeth. Reinforcements coming in from the south side. Going to be looking to try and kite back these Royal Knights, but really having a bit of trouble with it. Spearman comes through. One Spearman, single Spearman again comes in, but look at the Royal Knights. This is the power of the French, and this is the failure of Zhuge. They're one of the strongest units in the game, except in this matchup, they have so much difficulty, and this is part of the reason why. If you're up against horsemen here, you're one-shotting these bad boys, but these are no ordinary cavalry units, my friend. These are only the strongest in the game. Behind this, you can see that the resources were starting to be stacked up, but he's just thrown a whole bunch of units in queue. Once again, we are looking to fight it out in feudal, baby. It is happening today, and it looks like he manages to keep the majority of his mass and makes his way back towards that front side now. Villagers also getting pulled. 22 workers taken out so far, and he's going to take out more. What is Lucifron doing, pulling workers here? I guess he's just trying to retain the mass here. He appreciates that these Royal Knights are going to be able to drill through this mass, and you can see how little damage he's going to be able to do to this last Royal Knight, just as these archers are trying to tee off towards it. I tell you what, this has been a good game so far. I'm glad we got to cast this one. Now, more knights moving towards that top side. Archery range is going down. I think Lucifron's going for it. Oh, he's going for it. It's 100% it. This is where you begin to transition into only Zhuge. But I don't know if it can work in this matchup. That's the one thing. You're playing against the civilization with the best knights in the game. And look at this. Look at this. So many villagers just completely exposed, ready to be eaten alive. The knights, nowhere to be seen. He's just kind of rallied them towards the middle. Royal Institute now coming down. This is it. This is do or die. Behind this, though, Lucifron's got plenty of wood. That's all going to be going into farms, I'd suspect. He'll be continuing to look to mass Zhuge here. But just remember, once veterancy comes through on the Royal Knights, together with the Royal Bloodlines, they're going to have so much health that little bit of damage coming in from the Zhuge, it's just going to be laughed at by the Knights. And now more Knights. He's rounding towards that top side, looking for an angle to come through. Still unaware of the villagers. No scout with this army, but putting on the pressure. The timing was wonderful on that second TC. He's managed to take the lead by an absolute country mile, up 17 villagers for the moment. And now towards that south side, Lucifron continues to add in more spears, more Zhuge. The age ups come through, and that gives Lucifron permission. It says, Lucifron, you can now age up if you like. The problem is Lucifron hasn't won a fight yet. He is still behind. So he's stuck in this awkward spot of, do I make units now, or do I age up now? If I age up, I might die because I don't have enough units. And if I make units, I may die because my units don't have upgrades. These are the questions or the difficulties that you're facing sitting there playing as the Chinese in this position. Upgrades now coming through. Veterancy on the Royal Knights is now in. He's also going to be looking for +2 ranged armor. A little bit, I think the word I want to go for here is redundant, obsolete, superfluous, just simply because you're playing against a person who is yet to age up, but I think it also makes sense just because of the speed that China can get their upgrades. If Lucifron does want to age up, he will get his upgrades very, very quickly. Imperial official picked off, as you would expect. Veterancy about to come through on these archers. Manages to get the +2 ranged armor. Not looking for any royal bloodlines. He says, we don't need it, Drongo. We don't even need it. Where are you? There you are. We don't need you. We're just happy with veterancy. And now he looks to bring his units down towards the south side. You can see he's trying to get that castle age through. All of the villagers are going to be looking to eat up this wood line here. He needs to clear this outpost. If he doesn't, he's going to be in trouble. The Zhuge firing off. Now going to have trouble up against these archers. These archers not only got veterancy, but they've also got that ranged armor. That extra ranged armor. Spears moving towards the front. Nice little bit of a brace, but still managing to look at him trickle down all of these spears. Barely any spears left. I say that is 18. I can't even count that on my 3 hands. More Zhuge coming into the piece. You can see he's caught in this awkward place. If I want to age up, I need to age up, but I also need to make units. Oh, this is the gambit right here, isn't it? It's just, you know, what do you do? I feel like right now, Lash, well, he's not playing checkers. Lucifron is. Lash is playing chess. He is miles ahead right now, channeling his inner Magnus. Let's go with that. He's in a Magnus right now, trying to bring out the strategies. He's in a Hikaru. And now villagers also being pulled. This is it right now for Lucifron. He says, if we don't win this fight, we don't win this game. Villagers get pulled. He's lost 45 so far. Starting to really look... Oh, this is it. This is it, ladies and gentlemen. This is it. Lash upsetting one of the best players in the world right now. It is an absolute disgusting display coming out from the German. beautiful control throughout this game. He's just lost so many villagers though, Lucifron. I don't think there's any way you can come back from this. Even somehow you managed to win the fight. Congratulations, sir. You've got enough to age up, and we are just back together with that gambit. That I will call it the Lucifron gambit, the Chinese gambit. I'd be more tempted to call it, because it really comes out when you're playing the Chinese. The clock tower goes down, but at what cost does it go? And the answer is the defeat, because we needed to make more units. But this is the problem. We needed to make more units, but we needed to have upgrades on our units as well. So I think it just really comes back down to those fights that were earlier. The fact that we saw him take those fights, they weren't particularly good fights for him. He went for the early second TC, still decided to take that second fight. So I think that if there's anything we can learn from this great game coming out from Lash, it's if you're going to go for that second TC, play it off a little bit more defensive, be reluctant to take those fights, and only take them if you must. Anyways, fellas, check out these two creators. I'll leave links in the description, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching.